Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Bufnagle the podcast, where we explore entertaining and enlightening discussions of the adventure of life and all things good. From science and technology to history and philosophy to leadership and success. We hope to give you a better understanding of the world and skills for everyone to pursue their own adventure. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Bufnagle Podcast, where we talk about all things good, the pursuit of the adventure of life. I'm Zach, and we're doing good things and talking about good things and all the good with the things and the stuff and the things. However, I can't do good alone. So as always, I'm joined by Rafe. Good, how are you doing today?
Zach, I am phenomenal. And the reason I'm phenomenal is I'm surrounded by goodness here on this is, Zach, I don't really know how we do the numbering because the episodes are numbered 1 through we're in 3 digits now. That's the point. We're at 3 digits. We are 100 some in this. Like the specials don't really count in the numbering. They are numbers that are not in the number list. Okay. They are not countable, as we might say. So we have over 100 episodes, and it's full of goodness. And this episode is really good because we got me and you and Harry on the show again this week. But before I start, Zach, you know this. Harry, you know this. Thank you to the listeners. We appreciate having you guys here. Look, we are at bufnagle.com. We're everywhere on the internet. Just look us up, find us, share the love, share the buff, tell your friends to listen, get a free episode, get us some pudding. And we got something special today, and I don't even know if we really figured out exactly how we're doing this yet. But Zach, what order? It's like, are you going to go first or make Harry go first?
Well, no, I'm going to explain what we're doing, and then I'm going to make you guys do stuff, and then I'm going to close it out, and we're going to call it a day.
All right, go. You tell us what we're doing.
So we talk a lot about seeking the good, being the good, and spreading the good. But what we don't sometimes do is, do that ourselves. So we are taking time today to focus in on the good, capital G, in our lives and what it means to us and the people in it that bring us the good. So Harry's going to start us on off and talk about a little bit of good and happiness in his life as he just glares at me. He's the rules. And then he's just going to kick it on over to you. And then by the time it gets to me, I'll probably think of something good to share onto the world.
Well, you have to think of which of the good things that you have that you're going to share.
The many good things.
Yeah. All right, so Harry, you are, what do they say, on the clock?
I'm on the clock. I've got 6 or 7 minutes, right, to give you my first draft pick of something good.
Something good. Give us a first draft in the first round. Harry picks
his story of redeploying from deployment in the Balkans back to the United States.
All right, tell us.
So, as listeners have probably heard over the past couple of weeks, I filled in for a few episodes, and I've actually been filling in from home now, which is awesome. And I'm really, really happy to be back. I was deployed for 6-ish months to the Balkan Peninsula in southeastern Europe. If you don't know where that is, it's a lot of Greece and a lot of Croatia, but not Greece and Croatia because those are the fun countries. And why would the Army send me anywhere fun? Right? So I was originally scheduled to come back around July 4th. At one point in time, my boss was like, hey, we're going to try to send everybody home a week early. You're going to be back home with your family in late June. It's going to be great. You're going to love it. Everyone's going to have the July 4th weekend as soon as we come back.
But this is the Army, right?
But it's the Army. So
yeah,
that got nixed pretty quick. And then at some point, boss comes down again and goes, yeah, we're probably going to have to push to July 7th. So we're going to just miss, the back end of the possible 4-day weekend for the 4th of July. Which I'm sitting there going, well, shoot, that kind of sucks. But I guess that's all right. I'll be back home after that. And then it comes down that we got to stay an extra 10-ish days. So now instead of coming back home on July 6th or 7th, we're coming home on July 15th. At this point, I keep telling Jamie all this, and she basically says, you know what, stop telling me this until you get your plane tickets and you're on the airplane coming home. So immediately all of my anticipation of coming home is kind of decreasing because I just don't know when I'm going to board the airplane. But eventually, I do board the airplane on July 15th. I fly to Vienna, right? Early in the morning. I make it there. Awesome. I get on my plane in Vienna. My next flight is to London Heathrow, right? So another immediately afterwards, probably about an hour and a half layover. And then I'm scheduled to go from London straight to Raleigh, North Carolina.
Direct,
Direct.
not nonstop. All right,
Direct,
that's
nonstop.
awesome.
Perfect. Right? 8.5 hours ish, maybe 7, somewhere around there, and I'll be home. It'd be great. But my flight out of Vienna was delayed. I ended up getting to London far too late for my connecting flight amid all of the summer moving baggage disasters that was London Heathrow all over the news, right? So I'm stuck in the middle of that. I find out that I have to stay in London for 2 days.
So you're trying to get back from the deployment. You've been
Yep.
gone 6 months.
Yep.
You were within hours. You were like less than an hour from leaving.
I will be
You-
home in my own bed next to my wife, kissing my baby goodnight at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, and you missed the flight, and now you're stuck. Not just for like an hour for the next flight.
No,
The next flight is
was in 2 days.
2 days. Great.
So
right.
I had to stay in London for 2 days, which
Well,
also
there
is
are worse places. Yeah.
They speak English. It's a nice city to be in, and I was lucky enough and fortunate enough that the Army pays for lodging. Right, so that's some good things to look forward to in my life. Additionally, I found out one of my old college friends, Mo Knife. So Mo, if you're out there listening, here's your shout out. He only lived in Lancaster, England, which was about a 4-hour train ride north of London. So I hit him up and say, hey, man, I've got a hotel room that you can share with me. If you just come on down, we'll hang out. And I hadn't seen him in 7 years, right? So Mo's a good enough friend that he's willing to procrastinate, as he always does, on his PhD dissertation and come down and hang out with me for a weekend.
So, well, that's a good friend, right? That is a great friend. He dropped what he was doing, which was working on his dissertation.
Well, it's not like he'd really started, right?
Oh, okay. So, but he's working. He travels 4 hours on the train.
That's right.
Down into London just to hang with you for what, a day and a half or a day?
Not even. Maybe 12 to 16 hours max.
Oh, wow. All right.
So I got to hang out with him, which was fantastic. Especially considering he got married this past weekend. So congrats to him and his wife.
Well, more congrats to him.
That's right.
To his, right.
That's right. And he's the lucky one.
Yeah, that's right.
But so I got to see a good friend in London. I got to stay in a nice place. And I had a flight scheduled to go back home. So I was very fortunate for that. So 2 days later, after arriving in London, I departed London and flew across the Atlantic to arrive in Raleigh, North Carolina, just a couple short hours later in the evening. And I'm sure if there's any other military folk out there, seeing your spouse at the end of 6 months after you haven't seen them is an incredible feeling. And it's an even more incredible feeling when you realize it. Well, when you have known that your wife is pregnant and seeing her actually pregnant for the first time in 6 or 7 months.
Yeah. So when you left, she was just a little bit, and when you got there, she was a lot. And that little baby's coming up here in a couple weeks, right?
About 5 or 6 weeks. So I got caught behind two guys at an escalator going down to the baggage claim. So I can see, I saw Jamie and I saw you there too, Rafe.
Yeah.
You were fortunate enough to have family helping her out. But I still can picture her in her black dress standing there giving me a little hello wave, a little finger wave. And I do not know how long I hugged her for. It could have been 30 seconds. It could have been 3 or 4 minutes, 5 minutes. I have no idea. but you get teary and misty eyed because that's the one person that you want to see. So that's my good story. Is I got to see a good friend within what seems like bad circumstances. So I'm seeking the good, and when I'm home, I am with the good, and that's where I'm meant to be, and I'm very very thankful for that.
Well, that's kind of made me all teary eyed. That's a great one. That's a great good one. Zach,
Oh, it's your turn.
I'm up next. Okay. Well,
I'm the closer. I don't know what we have.
middle
Saving the best for last.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. So my good. All right. All right. So I have this. Well, I have been blessed beyond measure. There is what do they say? My cup runneth over. In fact, my cup runneth over, and it's making a mess. I mean, it is everywhere, and I could not like they. I think the thing to do is to look around and say who would you trade problems with? You know, I mean, I'm generally a pretty positive person. There are times when problems arise and I don't like the problems. I wish they would go away, and I'd work really hard to try to make them go away. But in general, I don't think I want to trade my problems. I don't ever look out there and say, okay, I'd rather be that guy, or I'd rather be that lady, or I'd be or what. I cannot imagine how if I had a chance to rewrite where I am, how I would rewrite it. I cannot fathom that if somebody said, okay, just you rewind wherever you want to rewind and change a decision, change a circumstance, and then let it flow forward again. I can't imagine how I'd do that. I can't imagine how I would make it better. It doesn't mean it hasn't had pain, that it hasn't had heartbreak, that it hasn't had disappointment, but in general, it has been phenomenal. I've been married to the same lady for over 30 years. It has been it's full of ups and downs, but that's what makes it go, right? I mean, it is a wonderful thing. I am blessed beyond measure with three kids that are completely imperfect. I would love to say they are perfect.
Jack's rolling his eyes. It's like, I thought I was perfect.
Well, I was thinking there's three. So there's Jamie, there's Olivia.
Wait! I'm getting there. Wait! I got three. Three kids that are phenomenal. That I would not like. Who would I trade them for? Who would I rather have? All right, and then they have this. They have grown my family with them. They've brought other people in that I know their friends. I now know their spouses. I have these little grandbabies. I have two that I've met. I have one that I've only seen evidence of, that I will get to meet sometime in the next couple of weeks, as Harry says. And I think it's good. And we talk a lot about things that we've seen in the past in art and in architecture. And I believe that you should go out and you should memorize some things of literature. And it doesn't even have to be literature. I don't even care if they're movie quotes, okay, or song lyrics, or pop songs, or even commercial slogans, right? Have some things at your memory that you can rattle off and that you know and that are appropriate. And the one that I come to is from Robert Browning, and it is the last two lines of his poem called Pippa's Song. And it's 8 little lines. The years at the spring and days at the morn, mornings at 7, the hillsides dew pearled. The lark's on the wing, the snail's on the thorn. God's in his heaven, and all's right with the world. And that is those last two lines. God's in his heaven, and all's right with the world. Those come back to me over and over and over and over again. People will say, "How are we going to get this working?" I say, "We'll do this. We'll do this. We'll do this." And then at the end, when it works out, the answer to me is always God's in his heaven, and all's right with the world. and I cannot get past how that is true. That is true in its full sense, certainly for me, and I'll bet in a certain sense it's true for you, wherever you are, whoever you are, whatever you're doing, and whenever it is that you hear this, is that God is in his heaven and all's right with the world. Things are as they should be, or things are getting there. And in not very long time, you will be able to say God's in his heaven and all's right with the world. And that's by Robert Browning. And Robert Browning fell in love.
Frost.
He's not Robert Frost, right? Does not stop by the wood on a snowy evening. He married a young lady named Elizabeth Barrett, and she became Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And she is known for the poem, How Do I Love Thee? It's a sonnet. And that's another line that comes to me all the time. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. And I think these guys have both grinned when I said that, because they'll say something like, wow, did you have a hard time getting home? And I'll be like, let me count the ways, which means that I will tell you this story about how this was incredible. Like, how was your bike ride? Oh, it was incredible. Let me count the ways. So there are all these little things that are available to you out there. We're trying to bring those to you here on The Buff. We appreciate you listening. The feedback we get from this is it is more gratifying than I ever could have imagined. There are times when it's difficult to put these shows together on a weekly basis. We've been doing this for 2 years now, Zach, and sometimes sometimes we get ahead of the game. Sometimes we're a little bit behind, but we are 100 and some episodes into this thing, which is just about 2 years. It'll be 2 years coming up in September, I guess. So this has been great. I have a wife and a family. My parents are still around. God's in his heaven, and all's right with the world.
Wow! Alrighty,
Zach,
now
you
we're
gotta follow those
on down. Rafe, just doing the comment. Are you not entertained?
See, there you go. Know the movie quotes. Are you not entertained?
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna talk kind of. I had a conversation with a very dear friend of mine this weekend. We're just kind of talking about the things I'm creating, the things she's creating, and just kind of us stepping forward together. And she's been a massive support system of me as I've kind of shifted my life and kind of been able to find purpose and joy again after struggling through a lot of COVID-related things and even through law school. But the biggest thing is we got talking about, titles, and we are both anti-title people because, when you are attached to a title, an achievement, or an accolade, you get used to the external thing, which means that you're not, giving focus to the internal. And we were talking about, if you strip all of that away and you're left with just the support of who I am as a person from my soul, what does it look like? And she asked me that question. I was like, you know what? Here we go. And if you don't know this about me, I am a wordsmith. I like to text and talk and send, flowery things to my people because I want to let my people know for as long as I can when they're in my life what they mean to me. Because I've spent too much time having missed opportunities of those people in my life not meaning. But I responded to her question with, you know what, this is who you are to me. And I was able to put that into words, and they're like, wow, I needed to hear that, not even for, just like the looking at like that, but also looking at the fact that this is someone who's, been positively affected by my life, what they describe me and how they put me into words. So I'm just grateful for that. And then additionally, I think I've mentioned before, I am a part-time fitness coach. Rafe is a part-time fitness donut in his mouth coach. But I'm a part-time fitness coach. Harry's part-time.
I do fitness too.
So
fish in his mouth.
I watch this American Ninja Warriors thing, and I'm thinking Harry and Zach should go on American Ninja Warrior, but I'm going to go on American French Toast Warrior, and that's you guys may be able to climb Mount Gamamuchi or whatever that is at the end of that show. I will be winning the French Toast competition.
Market number of like pieces of French toast that you can make in a minute or something.
Think about how American Ninja Warrior, what it is, and then just substitute French toast. That's where I am. Zach?
Yeah, well, thank you. You're also probably on the derailing train while you're doing it. Regardless, though, I'm part-time fitness coach, and one of the things we always do at the end of our classes is we finish with 3 deep breaths, and then we have announcements. But something that I do because of just who I am is I want those people who come and take my class, who are part of that community, to know that they are important to us and they're more than just a number. So I always make sure I take the time to thank them, let them know what it means for them to show up in that space, to take an hour out of their day to be with me, to deal with all of my antics and everything else I do while I coach. But additionally, like Thursday of last week, of the week that we're recording this, I told everyone in my class to reach out to somebody that they care about and let them know what they mean to them. And me doing that was it opened a opportunity to have real conversations with real people. And I think so much of life and with COVID and so many other things, we have forgotten to do that, to sit down and have those conversations. So it created that opportunity, and just, me being able to sink into my own and appreciate those little bit moments and let the people in my life know, like, hey, this is what you've done for me. This is what you mean to me. And I will never stop telling you, because you matter. And I want you to know that. So, yeah.
Well, kind of going off of that, I want to tell all the listeners how much you mean to me, because sometimes Zach Donahue doesn't get enough credit, right? So you do all this work and you push yourself and put yourself out there. But for any listeners that have high school buddies or kids or are heavily involved in sports and sports mentality, you go to the website www.zachdonahue.com and you take a look at it and you read what he has to say, because it's all the same things that he's been saying on this podcast for the past 2 years in word form, and he knows what he's talking about, and it's worth it.
Yeah, and that let me say that too. All right, so like I said, I love these two guys here more than anything, more than I can say. And the amount of work that Zach does to get this podcast on a regular basis. He's the editor, he's the sound mixer guy, he does all the heavy lifting. All right, and then if he's not around to help co-host, then you're stuck with me alone, or we drag Harry in or Bob on occasion, and we get some guest hosts in there. But Zach is the heart and soul of this show. And it's interesting because I tell people that I'm a statistician and I work for a pharmaceutical company, but I'm a part-time podcast host. And then they light up with that and they say, "What do you do?" I said, "Well, I work with my son." And lately I've been saying with my sons on the pod. They think that is the greatest thing ever. And I know there are a lot of grown men who would love to work with their grown-up kids. And we don't get to work on a like a for-profit. Bufnagle is not a for-profit thing yet. If you,
that's the kind of thing.
It is for all sorts of things. But if you would like to hire us to do something, we're more than willing to take a shot at it. But I'm just enamored. I'm enamored with truth, beauty, and goodness, and I am enamored with the way my life has turned out. God's in His heaven, and all's right with the world.
I think that's no better way to end this episode than that. So I want to go remind everyone to go seek the good, be the good, and spread the good. Enjoy the adventure of life.